Welcome to the Flora podcast, a place where we help you create a life you're excited about. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we are going to talk about how to identify your most common type of clutter that gets in the way so that you can clear it before it gets in your way again. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm Flora Sage, minimalism mentor, simplification coach, and 7-time author. For over 25 years, I've been helping women like you align into a life that you are wildly obsessed with by helping you clear the 9 types of clutter keeping you from a life that you love. What are those 9 types of clutter? They are mental, spiritual, emotional, digital, financial, daily, body, process, and environmental clutter. My YouTube page is where I share environmental decluttering tips, and here on the podcast, I share with you how to declutter the rest. Please subscribe or follow this feed so you get notified every time an episode is released. Today, we are going to talk about how to identify the most common type of clutter in your life so you can clear it before it gets in the way again. At the end of every year, my clients identify what types of clutter they felt got in their way the most that previous year. One of my clients this past December shared with me that mental and process clutter were the 2 types of clutter that got in her way the most this past year. This year, my client has very specific goals about her business, and she realized that she kind of kept coming up to a couple of roadblocks. And through conversation and coaching, we realized that the clutter in her storage building was the bottleneck in her process. And she was like, what? How is that the bottleneck? She has very ambitious goals for her business, and they've been stalled due to the fact that her home office is being used to store things that should be in the storage building. Why are they not in the storage building, you ask? That is the same question I asked. And she said that the storage building was full of things and they just couldn't put anything else in there. So currently, she is working from her kitchen table. And she says because of her cats and all the other stuff going on in her home, it's just too distracting. So we pinpointed that when the storage building is cleared out, the items in her office that are being stored there can be relocated, freeing up her office. Having a clear office space will allow her to have the space both physically and mentally to tackle her business goals. So she was like, oh my God, this is so brilliant. I can't believe I just didn't think of this. Once she realized that the storage building was her true bottleneck, she realized that 1, she was really excited about it, but then 2, she started to feel her mental and process clutter start to come in. Now, having worked with her for a good many years and knowing that mental and process clutter got in the way the most last year, we started to declutter these with her. Now, the mental clutter, she was feeling really overwhelmed with the amount of stuff in her building. She didn't know where to begin. And then she started stressing out about meals for the weekend and, all the things. How are we going to, and I'm just like, hang on. We jumped on a call to clear this for her. During her coaching session, we made a step-by-step list. The first thing we decided to go on the list was things to have handy. The things that we listed: masks, gloves, trash cans, pallets to keep stuff off the ground, or cinder blocks with wood, thick construction plastic for the ground or to drape over the totes. The next thing that we went into was meal prep. Breakfast on Saturday and Sunday, bacon and eggs. For lunches, she decided both for Saturday and Sunday to have meat and cheese sandwiches with baked or kettle chips. And then for the dinners, she decided on a roast crock-pot meal and sloppy joe, again, crock-pot meal. Once that was done, then we started to work on that mental/process clutter, which was, how do I even begin? So this really was that plan of action for clearing out the storage building, both for her and her husband, who would both be doing tasks that reflected their strengths. The first one, step 1, put on a mask and gloves. Step 2, pull everything out of the storage building and the loft. Step 3, Assess what is damaged and that needed to be tossed. This was one of the really big things. And this is also a piece of emotional clutter that was coming in because there was a lot of sentimental stuff in this storage building. And she's just like, oh, just the feeling of like, what if I have to throw everything out? And we actually did a little bit of, best case, worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, you have to throw everything out. Best case scenario, you throw nothing out. Nothing is damaged. And she's like, okay, so we worked through that thing. So in step 3, assess what's damaged and that needs to be tossed. Separate the things, but don't go through them. Just literally look in it and say, this is damaged, this is not damaged. The next thing, step 4, toss any visible trash. Step 5, toss or separate known clutter. And then step 6 is where they split. Her husband cleaned out the building, like actually swept it out, did all the things, whereas she started to go through boxes. Step 7, her husband put away the things that belonged in the building, like his dirt bikes, there's a desk, there's some other yard stuff, while she began to re-box items that she wanted to keep. Step 8 was to put boxes or totes that they want to keep back into the storage building. And then step 9, haul off the trash and the clutter. When she saw this list, when we were finished, she said that she felt 1,000% better and was ready to tackle the project. She's like, oh my God, thank you so much. This is crazy. She goes, I can't believe how much we just cleared just by getting ready like this and just breaking it down and saying, okay, wait a minute. What is stressing me out? What is the mental clutter that's coming in? What is the emotional clutter that's coming in? What are these loops that are going on? And like I said, the big thing for her last year was the mental clutter, which is like those mental loops, the overthinking, the dreaded feeling of, oh my God, like what if I have to get rid of all the stuff, which then brought in that emotional clutter. And then the process clutter. How the heck do we even do this? That next week, she said that the list and the planning process that we went through helped her and her husband clear out the entire building quicker than they even anticipated. And this is very cool. They even had time to go to a family member's birthday party. Now, I share all this to say this. When you can be honest with yourself about the types of clutter that get in your way the most, then you truly have the golden key to unlock all of your clutter blocks on a daily basis. So you might be asking yourself at this point, okay, this sounds all fine and dandy, Flora, but how do I identify the main type of clutter that is getting in my way? Reflect on your goals from the last year or even the last 6 months. Did you accomplish those goals? If not, reflect on why you didn't get them done, why you weren't able to do them. Be honest with yourself with the reason that comes up. If your main type of clutter is body clutter, where let's just say you forget to eat. Okay, that's a type of clutter. Okay, so in the afternoon you realize, oh shit, like I'm so tired, I have no energy because you forgot to eat. All right, perfect. Plan some meals. Have them in the fridge. Put a reminder in your phone and say eat. And remind yourself, like if you understand the body clutter where you forget to eat happens, or you don't get up to go to the bathroom, or you don't get up to exercise. Give yourself permission to be honest with that type of clutter. If it's mental clutter, where you spiral into mental loops over and over again with like the overthinking or the worst case scenario thinking, recognize that. If it's financial clutter that keeps you from doing the things that you want to do, recognize that. Is it process clutter, where you're not quite sure of the steps to take to get something done? Or is it where you overplan so many steps that you're exhausted just planning out your plan? The faster you can get clear on your most typical type of clutter that gets in your way, the quicker you can clear it on a daily basis when you notice that it's coming in for you. If you just don't know what types of clutter are getting in your way and you're ready to find out, click the link in the show notes for a single session and let's find out. Let's also continue this conversation and support each other in building lives you're not only obsessed with, but that you are genuinely so fulfilled by, where you feel so much joy and gratitude. If you're listening to this on YouTube, I invite you to share all of your experiences with identifying your most common type of clutter in your life in the comments below. If you're listening to this on any podcast streaming service, email me, flora@florasage.com, to share your comments. I love to read your emails. If you found today's episode helpful, please subscribe, share this with friends, and please leave a review. Your support helps this podcast reach more people looking to declutter the 9 types of clutter in their lives and to align into a life that you are wildly obsessed with. I hope this serves you today. And remember, all it takes is a clear vision of what you want and the willingness to take one small shift in that direction daily to align into a life that you love. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to today's podcast episode. All links mentioned are in today's show notes.